This is the Unit 6 review packet, Topic 16 video. We will start where we left off with Topic 15. We had one more proof to complete. It says, given the picture below, prove triangle RSE is similar to triangle GFE. First we'll list our given, the picture, and end the statement with what we want to prove. Triangle RSE is similar to triangle GFE. Okay, looking at our picture, we don't know the lengths of any of the sides, so we're probably not going to be able to use SAS or SSS. However, we do know that these two angles are congruent because they're both 86 degrees, and we have a set of vertical angles in the middle. That's two pairs of congruent angles, which is enough to use AA. So for step 2, I'll identify the two vertical angles in the middle. That would be angle GEF is congruent to angle, and then to line up the corresponding parts, I'll look up here. G corresponds to R, so this would be RES. And my justification, VAT. Now, even though these angles are both 86 degrees, that does not mean they're congruent. It means they have the same measure. In order to use angle-angle similarity, I need to show that they're congruent, and that's what my step 3 is going to be, saying because they have the same measure, they are congruent. So we'll write angle F is congruent to angle S. My reason, definition of congruence. Because their measures are the same, they have to be equal. They have to be congruent. My last step would be step 4, showing that the triangles are similar. I've got my two pairs of angles from these steps, which means the last one, angle-angle similarity. Topic 16. If triangle PQR is similar to triangle PST, explain why QR is parallel to ST. If these two triangles are similar, then it means their corresponding angles are similar. Angle PST corresponds to PQT, which means they have to be the same size or congruent. Because these two angles are congruent, these could be parallels, this could be a transversal. The converse corresponding angles postulate would say that these two lines have to be parallel because these are the same. Solve for the missing values. In general, when we have three parallel lines in a transversal, we do part over part equals part over part. Same side part over other part. That would give me the proportion 5 over 7 equals 6 over x. To solve, we would cross multiply. 7 times 6 would be 42. 5 times x would be 5x. And then divide by 5 on both sides. 42 over 5 does not reduce, so I will leave this in the fraction 42 fifths. However, you could also turn it into a decimal. B. Here we're given the lengths, and we have to find a missing value. So I have PQ as 1 foot, 14 inches, 17 inches. Since two of these values are in inches, it makes sense to just put the third one into inches as well. So that gives us PQ is 12 inches, QR 17 inches, ST 14 inches, and my unknown SV. Well, this question is asking us to find SV. However, I need to find this value, this missing one, and then I can just add it to this 14 to figure out what the whole length of SV is. So we'll set this up the same way as the last one. Part over part equals part over part. Cross multiply. 12 times x would be 12x. And then 17 times 14 would be 238. Divide by 12. And that gives us 119 over 6. Now, leaving this as a fraction is preferred. However, we're going to need to add 14 to that because we want to find the length of SV, not just that part. So in this case, it makes more sense to turn that into a decimal. 119 over 6 as a decimal would be 19.83 repeating. To find the length of SV, I need to add this section of 14 to it. which would give me 33.83 repeating. C. In C, we have an angle bisector. Angle bisectors work pretty much the same as the other ones, where it's side over side equals side over side. Sorry, side over side. So 20 over x, 24 over 12. Cross multiply. 20 times 12 would be 240. And then divide by 24. 240 divided by 24 would be 10. D. Here we have 3 parallel lines and 2 transversals, which we're still going to do part over part, part over part. If this whole distance is 28, then if I subtract 16, it tells me the bottom portion here is 12. So that gives me 16 over 12 equals, we'll call this x, x over 21. Cross multiply. Let's see, 16 times 21 would be 336. Divide by 12 and get 28. E. I can still do part over part, part over part. However, just like in the last one we did, I need to figure out what this missing part is. If this is 3 and the whole length is 5, this has to be 2. So that gives me the proportion, 3 over 2 equals 2x minus 2 over 4. When I cross multiply this, I have to make sure that I distribute this 2 to both the 2x and the minus 2. 3 times 4 over here would be 12. So that would give me the equation, 4x minus 4 equals 12. Add 4 to both sides. 4 plus 12 would be 16, and then divide by 4. F. The same idea. Part over part, part over part, except now I have 2 missing spots to fill in. Here we know the whole distance is 11. If this portion is 6, 11 minus 6 leaves 5 for the other side. This is a little bit trickier though, but we can take the same idea. I need to subtract the part I'm not using from the whole. Well, that would be 22 minus the 2x that's on the other side. Now when I set up my proportion, part over part would be 2x over 22 minus 2x, and on the other side, 6 over 5. Cross multiply, 2 times 5x would be 10x. 6 times 22 would be 132, and then the 6 also has to multiply the 2x to make minus 12x. Add that 12 to the other side, and then to get x by itself, divide by 22. 132 divided by 22 would be 6. G. To find the missing value here, I'll just subtract the 8 and the 20. Part over part equals other part over part. Cross multiply. 14 times 12 would be 168. The 8 has to get distributed to both. 8 times 1 would be 8, and 8 times 2x would be 16x. Subtract our 8 from both sides, and then divide by 16. For the final question, we have one more angle bisector. Part over part, sorry, side over side, 4 over x minus 2 equals x plus 2 over 3. When we cross multiply, things are going to get a little bit tricky. We have to multiply together x minus 2 and x plus 2, which if you remember from Algebra 1, would look something like this. In order to multiply these two things together, I either need to use FOIL or the box. FOIL means first, outer, inner, last. Multiply together the first terms, x times x would be x squared. Multiply together the outer terms, x times 2 would be positive 2x. Inner terms, negative 2 times x would be minus 2x, and then last, negative 2 times positive 2 would be negative 4. Our two terms in the inside are going to cancel out. 2x minus 2x is 0, and that's going to give me 12 equals x squared minus 4. While this looked really bad at first, the math actually worked out to be pretty easy once we got to this point. To get x squared by itself, add that 4. And then to get rid of the exponent, square root both sides. 16 is a perfect square, so the square root of 16 would be 4.